Is that how you want to proceed, is by accepting the terms of that plea agreement?
Yes.
Your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Ms. Phelps, under this plea agreement, you're going to plead guilty to the offense known as count 1, controlled substance possession of methamphetamine. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
That offense is a felony offense, and the maximum punishment for that felony offense is up to 10 years in the state prison system and or a fine of up to $15,000. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Under the terms of the agreement, then, the prosecutors agreed to dismiss count 2, domestic violence. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Understanding then the benefit of the plea agreement and having count 2 dismissed and the maximum penalty that you could face for possession of methamphetamine, how do you plead to the offense known as possession of methamphetamine?
Guilty.
If you plead guilty, you will no longer have any automatic right to appeal. Instead, following a guilty plea, all appeals are by leave granted. Are you aware of that?
I don't know what that means.
So if you were convicted at a jury trial, by example, you would have an automatic right to appeal. But if you plead guilty, you have limited appeal rights. What you have to do is ask the Court of Appeals for what's called leave to appeal. They could either grant that and your appeal would be heard, or they could deny it and your appeal would not be heard. Do you now understand?
Yes.
Also, by pleading guilty, you give up all of the current trial rights that you have. Those trial rights include the right to be tried by a jury of your peers, the right to be presumed innocent until you're proven guilty, and the right to have the prosecutor bear the burden of proving your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. At your trial, you'd have a right to have the witnesses against you appear at the trial and to see, hear, and question those witnesses. And you would have the right to have the court order any witness on your behalf to appear at trial. You would have the right to testify at trial. You would have the right to remain silent at trial and not have that silence used against you. But if you plead guilty, you lose those trial rights. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And because you're giving up the right to trial itself, of course, that also means that you give up the right to challenge other things that you might have been able to challenge if you did have a trial. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Outside of the plea agreement that we've talked about on the record, then, has anyone promised you anything to get you to plead guilty?
No.
Has anyone threatened you in any way to make you feel like you have to plead guilty?
No.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
My attorney suggested that I do.
Well, that was not my question, Ms. Phelps. Your attorney makes suggestions all the time. That's part of his job. But the question is, are you pleading guilty freely?
Yes.
Are you pleading guilty voluntarily?
Yes.
Outside of what your attorney has suggested, is it your own choice to plead guilty?
Not really.
Then I will not proceed any further, Ms. Phelps. This is not a difficult process. The process is either A, that you want to take advantage of a plea offer, or B, you don't. The effect of either one of those choices then has the next effect. If you plead guilty, I'll either accept it or I won't, and then I'll set the matter for sentencing. If you plead not guilty, I'm going to set the matter for a jury trial, and the jury trial will be for the jury to determine whether or not you are guilty of count 1 or count 2, more specifically, whether the prosecutor can prove those things. So do you want me to set a jury trial
then? No, I'll take the agreement.
Is there a question in your mind about whether or not you should go forward?
I really don't know. No.
Again, your two options are starkly different. One is you accept the terms of a plea agreement, which is you plead guilty to the possession of methamphetamine and the prosecutor dismisses this domestic violence. If I accept that plea because I find there's enough evidence to accept it, then I would sentence you in about a month. The other option is you could deny the plea agreement and you could ask me to set the case for trial. If I set the case for trial, the jury will determine whether the prosecutor has proven each of the elements of each crime beyond a reasonable doubt. If they agree that the prosecutor has proven it, they'll find you guilty. If they believe the prosecutor has not proven the elements, they'll find you not guilty. Do you have any questions about those differing options?
No.
How do you want to proceed?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
Is it your choice to plead guilty?
Yes.
The prosecutor charges that this happened on or about May 6th of 2023. Does that date sound accurate?
Yes.
on May 6th of 2023, were you present in Otsego County?
Yes.
Did you knowingly or intentionally possess the controlled substance methamphetamine on that date?
No.
Well, how should I find you guilty, Ms. Phelps, if you didn't knowingly or intentionally possess the substance that you're offering to plead guilty for?
Because when the police officers came to the location, they found it. So.
Did you know it was there?
No.
Did you have any access to it?
No.
The court denies your plea. I'm going to set this matter for a jury trial, Ms. Phelps. You either are guilty and you tell me that you're guilty, and that's fine, or you're not guilty. But you can't tell me that you want to take advantage of a plea agreement and then tell me you're not guilty. That's not the way a plea works. And so what I'm going to do is schedule the matter for a jury trial. I'm also going to set this matter for a follow-up status conference next month. Next month is going to be known as a final status conference and a plea cutoff. What that means is I'm going to give one more opportunity for you to talk with your attorney to see if there's any misunderstandings that can be clarified. If you want a trial, you should have a trial. If you want to take advantage of a plea offer, you should take advantage of a plea offer. But I'm not going to allow this to be in this situation where you tell me you want to take advantage of a plea offer and then tell me you're not guilty. That's not how it works. That's not how it will ever work. So I'm going to set the matter for a jury trial, but again, I'm going to set a final status conference and plea cutoff next month. That means, Ms. Phelps, if you want to take advantage of a plea next time we come into court, that's fine, but that will be the last time I will accept any plea offer. After that, we're just going to have the jury determine the issues. Do you have any questions about that, Ms. Phelps?
No.
Mr. Fenton, on behalf of the people, do you have any objection to the court's suggested course of action?
No, Your Honor, but if I may, before we conclude, just to remind Ms. Phelps, I'm looking at the affidavit. She admitted using methamphetamine. Methamphetamine was found in plain view in the residence that she was at, and eventually she admitted that it was hers. So I'm not sure why she's having so much difficulty admitting those facts today, but apparently she's unwilling to do so, and hopefully she will be next time.
Ms. Phelps, does the prosecutor's suggestions have any effect on how you want to proceed today, or should I instead continue to give you more time with your attorney?
Then I'll plead guilty.
I don't want you to plead guilty because you don't think you have any options. Again, you have two very different options. But if you are pleading guilty because you are guilty, then you need to tell me that you are guilty, because that's the only way I can accept the plea. So do you want to plead guilty?
Yes.
Do you want to plead guilty because you are guilty, or do you want to plead guilty because the prosecutor suggests that you are guilty?
I guess guilty.
Because you are guilty, or because the prosecutor suggests that you're guilty?
Because they're suggesting.
Well, that's not acceptable to me, Ms. Phelps, and nor will it ever be. The prosecutor appears to believe that he has a strong case against you. You should talk about that issue with your attorney and decide how you want to proceed. The questions will be identical next month, but the answers will be either one of two things. Either one, that you want to take advantage of a plea offer, that's fine if you do, or two, you want the court to set the matter for a jury trial for the jury to determine the issues, and if that's what you want, that's fine as well. I don't care how you proceed. I just need to make sure that the case proceeds in one of those two manners, or a different manner that might be suggested by your attorney or the prosecutor. But for now, that's what we're going to do. We're going to adjourn. I'm going to direct that you talk with your attorney so that he can clear up any misunderstandings you might have. And I'm going to ask that you be ready to proceed in one of those two manners when we return next month. Do you have any questions, Ms. Phelps?
No.
Mr. Gilo, in light of all that's happened so far, did you have any comment or suggestion for the court record today?
Not at this time, Judge.
We'll see you next month, Ms. Phelps. You'll join us the same way as you're joining us today.
Okay, thank you.